right? Tui's not coming, right?
Tui said that his plane was canceled and he's not going to make it.
Right, okay. Anyway, so everybody's being recorded. I would ask for a motion to approve the March 16th minutes.
I can make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Anybody have any comments that you would like to discuss? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Moving on to the application update for the Cummings Svenby.
Yeah, this is going to sound a little strange. Perhaps I called him, I explained to him what the situation was. He was very happy to hear about the state and the county, and that our rule is that his need was it was a mandated requirement. Does anybody, what? I never thought about this, I guess. We're not going to take this up to the town board, correct? The town board doesn't want to see people that we deny. Is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Would you want
Yeah, unless they appeal.
Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, I
If you
did.
appeal your denial, then they would get kicked to us.
It's just that, for whatever reason, I guess I never got to the point of saying, okay, send this letter to somebody. At least I don't remember doing that. So,
Had it, I don't think, right, James? No.
we've had a couple of denials, right?
Nothing that, no one wherever they went, like bypassed us and then,
Correct.
well, they didn't accept our decision and.
Right, well, we've had a couple of people complaining about the money we gave them.
Yeah, but, so at this point, does anybody have an example of what they might have written in the past? So that I could crib your notes and does anybody have written that letter? Should I'll draft it and say.
That would be in SharePoint. You can just pull up an old one. I think, James, you have one, right?
It depends what it is,
Okay.
We have templates though. You can-
I don't know if it's a template, but
We have good pros. I don't know if you want to borrow.
Okay, so what I will do then is that, as I say, I've called him, that the denial would not need to go to the town board. And I'll write something for this situation and say, okay. And then I'd like to email it to each and say, Greg, you didn't explain it clearly or whatever it may be.
I mean, their situation is still the same. They have an open building permit.
That is correct.
That's
Absolutely.
moving ahead
I'm
on,
not complaining about it. He understood it, Mr.
but he just didn't agree with it.
Well, no, he was fine. It's just like, is there supposed to be a written communication when the determination is that the application is denied? And I thought that there should be something, I could send a report to the town board, I guess.
Amber wants to
I was
answer.
to say, I'm looking at the spreadsheet in SharePoint, and Travis Messer was one that was denied in 2020 because it was a mandated system.
Okay.
So if Coco can pull that file, hopefully there's a letter in there.
MESSER?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I think it's pretty straightforward.
yeah. It's hard to do.
Based on the fact that, you've undertaken a construction project that is, you're mandated to put one in anyway.
Yeah,
So therefore, we are precluded from giving you a grant. However, please pursue the town, the state and the county, and
yeah. And
thank you for wanting to put such a nice system in. He
okay,
has to anyway, so.
yeah, that's good.
I think that, just keep it simple.
What?
Just keep it simple.
Simple.
Yes, that's what I should do. What's the next item then?
The next item,
I think it's you.
that would be McKee. The request for payment. It looked very, very straightforward to me.
Yeah. That was emailed to us.
Right. The worksheet and everything was emailed to us. And I think they have an overage of $700, it looked like to me. and they're requesting the 6,000, so that, you know, they were out of pocket $700.
Okay.
So that was not bad. Would anybody like to discuss that further? It was very, very
I
straightforward.
saw it.
Yeah, it's, you know, from the sounds of it, and I have to admit, I did not look at it, but your comment that, you know, they're looking for the final cost was 6,700 more. That's pretty specific. I mean, obviously, I can't imagine that they're gouging and charging a new in-ground pool or anything.
No, there weren't that many items on the thing either, you know, so.
I feel comfortable in saying if you've seen it, you've looked through it, you understand it, I'd be comfortable there.
Yeah, I mean,
Not much on it, if I remember.
Yeah.
no, I mean, it was very simple.
Yeah, the proper paperwork was there.
I just remember that there wasn't much out of pocket, and you said 700 was it?
Tom Dwyer was not, his was whited out. So then it was one item, shelter island stand and gravel. The conglomerate
That was it.
was reaching out for a giant chunk of money, and you know, so their bill was 26,788.88, and of that, 20,000 was taken care of by the New York State and the county grant, so it left a balance of 67,88.88. So I mean, there's not much to review there. It appears that everything is.
I just show it to you, I have it up, it's like very simple. Just because there's not much on
All
there.
the paperwork is at the end, right?
That's it.
Rolling through all
You got the
the,
grant.
all the paperwork is in
Yeah,
order.
it's all here.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds, yeah.
So what, now a letter has to be written to the town board that we approve it?
No, we have to have a motion to approve it,
Right.
you know, second vote, then we send the recommendation, I'll sign the payment request, and it'll be submitted to the town board.
Okay.
So now we need the motion,
I motion that we approve
okay? $6,000.
for 6,000.
I'll second.
Second, any further discussion?
Just further discussion, you know, saw how really, this is really not a very complicated project. So I just seen the results and I say, I agree, pass.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. And now, to the application process, which we have a fair amount to look at.
Correct. Just I'll back up real quick for a minute. When we started this, was it, God, it might have been September even. It seems like it's been a while. I know we had meetings in December, so what we're trying to do is basically two things, is to clarify the procedures and processes that an applicant is supposed to use. And what we had found was that we had some very large files that were not targeted to what we really needed to turn over to. And one of the things that as we're going through this, we said, okay, there might be some potential changes, knowing the town board's interested in getting this revitalized. That we tried to make sure and looked at each of those a little bit closer and saying, okay, is this a good number or a bad number, or whatever it may be. So,
You looked at the actual rebate structure,
well,
as well as, you know, in the amounts that were,
in the procedure, well, yes, that's it, the amounts and what the approval criteria would be.
I think we all have thought, you know, on our own about that, you know, thinking about
Yeah.
a greater incentive to encourage people to start applying again.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it in sessions.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did, and Amber was supposed to look into what the average cost was and how much we should increase
But do you want to go, like, do you want to get into the meat of what you guys did first? And then that's a whole separate.
Yeah, and that's what that's where I was trying to go, is that we have two things happening here. We have what is hopefully a streamlined, easy to understand procedure, not, like a 4-item food recipe, the idea is to have this so that when people look at it, they'll say, I understand what I have to do and what I should expect. So what Coco has put together, this was a document that we've gotten. There are the 4 key documents. So that top page, it says the IA grant introduction. And what we did was, instead of trying to put everything in one file, the procedures and all that stuff, we have a flowchart and process summary, which you'll see in here. And the goal of that was to allow people to understand that after about 3 months, after 3 months after we say, okay, you're approved, it's unlikely that they will be having their backyard dug up, and they're not going to be in a position to get the money right away because it's going to take time, So that was one of the things, correct me if I'm wrong, that people generally they weren't happy to hear about.
The timing, how long it takes to.
Yeah. So
I mean, the timing and how long it takes to actually do the thing?
Well, just the combination thereof, like the time, how long it takes to get the county grant. If, waiting for issuance of that, because we've had issues with the county, and then they're good, and then they're hacked, and then they're good, and then they run out of money, and then they're good, and then, so, that's always been a problem. So once that gets issued, it moves pretty quickly from there, because then the design work is done, but then they have to wait for all the closeout paperwork and the green stamp in order to get the rebate from you guys. And sometimes the issue that we run into is like if there's well covenants needed because they have high nitrates, or if there's other issues that come up and it makes it harder to close out the permit, then they can't get the green stamp for the septic registry for the town that you require in order to pay out the money. So, some of these jobs have been open for 2+ years, waiting for covenants to get cleaned up and things like that, so.
Yeah, Betty and I tried to make that into a clean, concise, not complicated thing. So,
But I mean, that's something we can't control that.
Yeah. So there's nothing, that it doesn't ask anybody to do anything, this section. It just says, here's the events that happen. The second document that we'll be presenting here will be the funding policy and restrictions. What used to be, I forget exactly, it
15 pages?
it removed some things that people found confusing. It had a number of tables that baffled some folks, applicants, the whole thing. So, and then once those two things have been, that once if you review both of those, now you're in pretty good shape. You kind of know how long it's going to take. You know what you have to do, kind of. And then there's the application form and instructions. It's actually something that I can't say that I ever did before, but it makes a great deal of sense. The building department, or I think it was building or planning, I'm not sure now which. What they do is that when you open up a file from them, on the left side or on the, it's here's what you have to do here. It's kind of like it clarifies what they're supposed to do rather than just getting a form that says, well, I wonder what I'm supposed to do with this.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've accomplished that.
We're trying to approximate that.
Yeah, and that would get you to to the point of where they're here requesting eligibility. And then the fourth piece that we're thinking about changing and updating is the request for payment in the calculation form. So that would be that's the fourth form. There are some others that, that at least they need to kind of have an understanding, but those are the 4 key that our process and what we do works. Did I get that right, Gal? All right, I got one. Did that make the? So, again, it's not maybe, and I don't know, maybe not worrying about the numbers now, but just make sure that, okay, I see what we're saying, what we're requesting.
Wait, Greg, I just have one quick question on the, like, I see all your edits on like the other forms, like the nice flow chart and application and so forth. Did you actually do any edits yet on the request for payment form, or did you just put like notes like, I see it says needs edit, but I just wondering, like, what I'm looking at kind of looks like what I remember, it looks like our payment form. Did you change anything yet or no?
Well, I mean, there is, you've, very quickly, you've reached the point that we're not certain about in terms of, there's a, if we wanted to, we'll go through this question now, it's, page 1 is the requirement document checklist, which, there are some changes that I would think that we may be doing. And then there's the filing instructions and the forms to be completed. And then the form itself, which we've been using for quite some time. That box, the box was specifically requested by legal 2 years ago. So whether or not we need to do that, I have that on here. It would be the cover page, if you will, to the calculation sheet itself.
We should look at these notes that you put in blue on the bottom of page 2.
Yeah.
Why is there a 5A, like some questions you have?
Lewis is potentially take out,
Take out.
and red is to review and.
No, I'm just asking, like, if I'm looking at this later, I just want to remember, like, that this is not really edited yet, so we can.
No, it's laid out, it needs edits, and I think there may be just a couple of things that need to be edited on it, but it's because of changes that we may speak to when we talk about what the funding policy and procedure is. So what's the best way to proceed?
Well, I like the flow chart already. I just started looking at it, and I'm just like trying to act like a person who doesn't know anything about,
How it works.
Just like, how would I go? It's looking very good. I mean, it does make sense. Because I like how you have like county and your construction
Right.
considerations and then the rebate, because these things are all happening kind of concurrently. Yeah. I like that. The only thing I would suggest on this is maybe just a visual, some sort of visual change, because all the boxes are sort of similar, like the 3. Maybe, I don't know, have since we're WQI, it's rebate and like county rebate, maybe have those 2 boxes like in a different kind of like boldness or thicker color, maybe different color. Not all of them in different colors, because that kind of gets silly, but just something that kind of stands out, like WQI rebate process could be in like a bolder
I
color.
might be able to darken the perimeter or something like that, but have you ever worked in Word flow chart?
Yeah.
I haven't.
So,
There's this little dent and there's a small dent where I just kept on banging my head until the pain stopped.
You did pretty good, that's what I was gonna say.
we could have someone help us with like the finer stuff at the end, like just to make it nice,
And we would like to, man, it would very much, you'll probably look and say, yeah, I had some of that stuff in there too, What I tried to do was take the pieces
Right.
that were most appropriate to our
Yeah.
process.
From like the
So,
county flow chart that I gave you, like the county like list of like 34 steps or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking,
I know.
Yeah, so this idea I had is basically just based on human, each person's different, so how people perceive information. Some people are like visual, spatial people, and some people are more like linear and just wordage. So when I started looking at this, I started saying to myself, can I get through this? And I think if there was some visual boldness where you keep the WQI and like the state and county rebate thing kind of bolder, because construction's gonna happen anyway. I feel like that's more like background, the other 2 should be like bolded. I think people will be like, oh, your eye is drawn to like, oh, the WQI process, oh, it's happening with this, and your eye kind of moves across the page better. So that would be my only.
or maybe if the county and state's one color and WQI is another, and then the
Yeah.
construction process is black.
Yeah, something like
Have
that.
you ever worked in Word this?
Send it to me, I'll do it.
Okay. There you go.
Deal.
She's a flow chart person, spreadsheets, flow charts.
Will you use Visio or not? You don't use Word, do you?
It depends, I have. I've used Word, I've used PowerPoint, I've used Excel.
This might be a good PowerPoint.
Some people are bred to do these things, you know, and others like me.
Well, it's on our,
It's on the SharePoint.
Yeah, in,
what is it, applications? Help me, Coco.
Documents.
Applications, and then it's in applications, and it's the first one, 2023 new application process.
Thank you.
But not for prime time yet. I mean, it's just that we can look at it, right?
They're all marked draft and they're all numbered.
So yeah, I can play with it in SharePoint and then I'll email you guys, you can look at it, see if you like it or not.
And if any of these milestones are not correct, let
I
me,
mean, I think you might know better than anybody whether it's correct or not.
Yeah.
having written this, I'm sure that that's true.
It looked pretty good, so I'll dig into it deeper.
There's one thing that people have noted is that the boxes aren't in order. But
that's on
I always number the boxes so that you can have a little paragraph and say, okay, there's no, okay.
They
that's-
correspond, the numbers correspond to the,
To the task.
To the task list. Now,
well, that's involved in it. I assume that was like, I wouldn't worry about the number.
oh, no, I'm not, no, I'm just explaining that the reason is that there are times where different things,
Right.
there's, it is at least some level of ordering in the left, right, middle of the thing.
No, I'm on page 2, this is good, you have like homework for number 1 and 2, I like that. No, I mean, I'll be leaving that because I kind of like that too.
I think it's important, it's something people should do.
It's item number 1. It's the top box on the.
I like it.
Do your homework.
Yeah, and it's,
It's cute, Greg, I like it.
no, it's,
Useful and good.
well, that's good.
Well, it certainly evokes, questions, if nothing else, I mean, what do they mean by, this, or, I mean, it's pretty simple, but it gets people, if they don't know, I mean, it's broken up into the way that people could maybe, if they don't understand it, ask about it, where before, they just didn't understand it, they didn't know what to ask.
Yeah. Just the, which is the red stamp, which is the green stamp, and the fact that there's the hold until the system is installed and that's a key, those 2 milestones, a dotted perimeter, those are the ones that say, okay, you have to wait until that happens. So, and it's not easy. So what we'll do then is, what do we do now?
Meg will
they'll review
review it.
and, yeah.
Okay, make
Tours
a
and-
review, take a look at the chart, and,
Is there any?
I'll look it over too, just see if there's anything.
Everybody should, look at it in greater depth, but I wonder if there's any, in addition to this, if there'd be a way to put on the website sort of a visual presentation,
A little PowerPoint or something?
yeah, like if somebody like they're too lazy to read the thing,
Or no, like, how about like in TikTok, like, now you do the little bubbles.
And this is not what I would look for. I would take this and read it, I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
But some people might want, a tutorial somehow. I don't know.
Make it.
Convert it into a checklist too. Did you do these steps, do.
That's what we used to have on the application.
Or you
Yeah.
can do these steps
Right.
and kind of
We
make it
have
a
a checklist here somewhere else.
There's one at the back of the application,
We used to always have it on the cover.
and it's just like
That was our
site
top sheet,
documents,
yeah.
water test, engineer certificate, water treatment system.
well, we're planning on modifying those.
Okay.
We're thinking
yeah.
about modifying those, which I think some of the things that you've talked to us about was, but we,
Because we could kind of do it for this too, so people can see where they are in the process by what they've accomplished.
Now, I have seen this done, but I don't get
To the Hershey
I've
bar.
seen some stuff done, but I don't know if we have the capability to do it, but like on some websites, when you click to insert your information, when you hold your mouse over it, it opens up another bubble, and sometimes there's like a short 30-second video. I don't know if that's a word.
Way.
That would be great.
You know, or the forms that won't let you keep going because you
50 years old.
fill something out.
But I'm not saying we have to do it, we can.
It's like TikTok, I've never been on TikTok.
Or somebody, I mean, if you make a little video, a 30-second video, there's ways of uploading, I mean, I could even do that.
I'm just thinking if we're,
I guess the point is that we have the format of what this is and the numbers that are in there. And that has to be approved by the town board. Then I think we could think about making video.
I'm just saying, I think what this whole exercise, we could have left things alone, but the exercise is all about trying to elicit greater interest in doing this.
Yeah.
You know, so
Make it useful.
well, it wouldn't get me to do something, you know, like a video to watch, but it might help somebody else.
Well, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that we had talked about, I don't know how many of you saw the, on, I guess that was Tuesday, right? The work session, they were talking about the system. And Betty explained what we were working to do. And it was inspiring. You know, it was like, we're trying this, we're looking at this, we're looking at that. You know, like, how do we help this happen? And there are probably another 10 of them that are floating around within us of what we think we could do.
But I could imagine a nice little video on our town social media where somebody says something about, you know, we have this great application, it's so easy. And then, you know, like with the little, yeah, I'm serious. And then show a little form of it and with a little blurb and, you know, you put a face to words and people get, you know, they have a connection and it's really friendly. I mean, that's.
Well, we know who's gonna make the video.
Greg and I are gonna team up and be like, we're making our video. Right, Greg?
Yeah.
It's more better.
Just feel the year is way on me.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, I think this is great work and,
Well, this is just a flow chart.
We got 2, 3, and 4 here.
right,
Okay.
I know, I get that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So,
So, how do I stop blathering on? Do you want to do the second one or you want, how do we do that?
You go for it, Greg, you're doing a good job. Go ahead.
Okay, the second piece, and again, the attempt to describe the process, you know, within one convoluted, I think it was 18 pages or 17 pages, and.
right, and now you got it to 4.
Now, the back of it was tacked on with the application, it was not good. Anyway, so in terms of the architecture of the flow, that we said, okay, let's take the policy and the restrictions. That's how much can you get and what you can't do with, you know, what you can't get paid. So this is where, you know, there's the list of approved
Engineer.
funding materials and how we want to break out the rebate grants. How we talked earlier at an earlier meeting, talking about the income incentives and, you know, and yeah, if some people would be willing to do it and, so we'll work that through. By looking through, if you have funding policy and restrictions, sometimes you see things in blue, which are basically things that, okay, this is a topic that we got to talk about this one. And the red, we also would need to talk about, but they would be described as what what you would see in the procedure. In other words, the rebate categories, which it has a back at the end saying that they're all going to merge into a single amount. It's not like if you're getting $2,000 for a pressurized shallow drain field that we're going to accumulate that with your other bills, you know. So if the pressurized shallow drain field was only 1,000, we're granting you 2,000 is what I think that says. I hope that's what it says.
So in red is more factual.
Well,
It's like it's not that we need to discuss it, it's just, we acknowledge this needs to be changed, and that's why it's in red.
From the last meeting that we had, on this, which is about 2 months ago, I think. The red would be what would be new language that we would be putting into this document. And you know, it may be because, you know, it's, I'm not the world's, you know, I don't steno very well. You know, I could have done things that we're not thinking about. I think that, you know, there are things that we have examples of expenses. This is on page 3 of 8 of the procedure, towards the bottom of that page. Appropriate expenses. So most of it is unchanged. And then there's the list of materials of adequately expenses. I don't know if this is the full list. I'm not 100% certain if some of these we might want to scratch out. And maybe that would be the request on going out as far as this page goes, is that list. And then the list that followed, which is are not covered. I just, you know, does that work the way, that's the right list of items.
So on the rehabilitation of landscaping, don't we pay for reseeding?
We do.
Is that considered rehabilitation of landscaping?
No, rehabilitation of landscaping means, you know, the way we've always looked at it is, you know, what comes with the deal is seeding and grade and seed. But if you had trees, you know, prime, you know, specimen trees or something that got trashed because of this process, that's not covered. You know, or your prize daffodil bed, you know, or something.
Okay, does it say here about the grading and reseeding?
Which page is that on?
This is 3 of 8 and then 4 of 8.
It's in the paragraph or it's in the list?
It's not on the list,
It's not on the list.
no.
So,
But it probably should be, because those are like the popular things that are
Right.
guaranteed.
right.
Okay, so rehabilitation of landscaping.
Well, seeding and grading.
And acceptable, we need to put grading
Yeah.
and reseeding.
If we use those two actual words, since that's what we.
Right, grade and reseed, that's what we approve.
Yeah. I wouldn't make it too vague, because then people could, I wouldn't make it too,
Okay.
don't use too vague wordings, just say grading and.
Say the words on it and then.
Grading.
Grading and reseeding.
All right, and we're saying that we're going to put that on the approved list.
Right.
Yes.
On 3.
Well, it has been, we're just enumerating it so that it's somehow separated.
Rehabilitation of landscaping that is on the unsuitable list.
Right,
But that's different, yeah,
that's different. That's what we were just discussing.
Okay, so on the approved, we don't have
I think maybe
surface repair.
couple of words of explanation next to rehabilitation of landscaping might be useful, just to say, you know,
Okay.
replacement of shrubs, you know, or flowering, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know.
Flower beds or something?
All right, I'll just break that out and let everybody know what it's supposed to be then. And everything else, so.
Flowers.
The approved needs to have something about seeding of landscaping, you know, and then on the not approved is other than grading and seeding.
Okay, that's another way.
End of that rehab. So now we've got it going both ways, I think. Approved, I should say, we're identifying what's okay, and we're also identifying what's not okay, because, you know, okay. And if there's other thoughts that ought to go in here.
I mean, I think that's very simple because it takes this, it reiterates those same words again in a different context.
Yep. Okay, and then if you want, now we're gonna just, we'll start, and we'll go from the start. On here, there is a list of table of contents, assuming that people would find it convenient.
Going back to that, to the,
Funding policy and restrictions, yes. And there's 8 pages of this, and just the first 1 or 2, I think we want to just touch base on. The table of contents, which I think is helpful for people that say, oh, I want to find out what that means. I have listed that there are innovative innovative wastewater and pressurized solid drain fields to reduce consumption or nitrate contamination, and emerging contaminants, which the pressurized shallow drain field, perhaps not what the Nitrex system would do, but it certainly reduces them. The bacteria get dropped down. So then there's section B, a category of rebate grants. And there's some terminology here, and then especially when we get to B3 will be the big item, I guess. As I was saying before, if you're given a $2,000 rebate, that goes into the general bucket of the project. The base is for an innovative advanced on-site water treatment system. And the big question there, right under B2, is do we want to recommend to the town board that we think that it's not conducive of getting some things done with rapid, people are looking and saying, I'm gonna destroy my backyard for 6 months, and then pay the $6,000. So I don't know. This might be something that we would not work through right now because this is beyond the structure topic.
right, but I mean,
Well, you need
we're coming, it's in order, we were talking about it, we could just. put
Okay.
our Thoughts about it, right?
We could do that, that's fine.
I mean, because you have it in here and you want to put a number there,
Yeah, that number's nice.
so.
What do you think?
When we last spoke, I was sort of leaning towards the 8 with, then going down to the pressurized shallow drain field, maybe raising that to 5 or something like that. My own thought.
It's at 2 right now, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Because the county also underwrites that, the shallow drain field.
Okay.
By 5. So they would easily pay for that, I would think, with $10,000, right?
Like if we gave 4 and they gave 5?
Or if we gave 5, I'm saying that, take it easy on the base grant.
I was
But,
just gonna say, the price of the materials for the pressurized shallow drain field went up significantly during COVID because
Yep.
they were plastic products. So like the last pricing we got was like $2,000 more than the original pricing we got 2 years ago, so.
Yeah.
so what does that come out to?
Yeah, that would cover it. Yeah, because now it's around 10,000 to put in a pressurized shallow drain field.
So essentially, if we said 5 and the county did 5, it would cover it, and that's what we want people to do.
Right.
That would be good.
What are your thoughts, anybody's thoughts about the base grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2018, we gave 2 grants and the average cost for those 2 systems was $22,500. And then the average cost in 2019 was $31,000. 2020, it was getting closer to $32,000. 2021, $37,000, and 2022, $36,500. So the price has definitely been going up. And the average cost after state and county grants for all of them, all the years, is $12,785.
12,000, that's the average?
That's the average just after the
That's
state.
after state.
Not after, no, I thought you meant.
Yes, so when we were doing $15,000 grants.
That was great.
And covering things, but people who have been getting the 6,000, only, are paying another $6,700 out of pocket. And looking at 2021 and 22, where you've got the higher cost years, the average system is 37,000. State grants at 10, unless you're doing the pressure, or no, state's always 10. And then the county grants have averaged 10,700 because there's been a couple that had the pressurized drain fields. So their out-of-pocket cost would be 16,000.
So we sort of have to go to something like 10.
Yeah, 10 or 12.
Yeah, I think,
10.
No,
We said last time, if we take out the income incentive and just tack it on to.
Right, I mean, that would bring it to 8, right?
yeah, I just, do you know, I mean, my thought is that there have not been that many income.
No, there's only been like 2 or 3 of them, I think.
Yeah, and, you know, it is intrusive, you know, I can understand,
Nobody feels comfortable about it.
yeah,
I mean, there's,
It's an awkward procedure.
yeah. So,
I could go for 10. I mean, we're trying, you know, like, we can keep it low and not put them in, or raise it up, you know, and then you can always revisit it if things, you know, there's a giant downturn in the month, you know.
But the costs have gone up. That's, you can't get around.
Yeah, material costs is just gone up.
I mean, everything.
We don't have a whole
everything's-
flood of applications coming in, so.
all right, so we'll put that in tentatively, we'll forward that along to the town board as 10,000.
Right, and then if the town board agrees, then I think you do a press release or something like that, you know, like a little PR that gets it out there, and then, you know, and
Which brings me to an ancillary. I think did we talk about this? It was, so when is it effective?
Yeah. We talked about it because, who was it? What was his name that came last week? Kylie? And wanted more money. And it's like, do we say, you know, retroactive a year? You know what I'm saying?
I think that could get messy.
Yeah.
I understand the desire, but I think that could get really messy.
What are you saying, that it would be messy to?
Go back.
Can't go back.
Financially, to go back and then to sort out who, like, how far back do you go?
I can't imagine a stronger positive in the newspaper though. And so here's what they're doing there, that money is being allocated so that people can put systems in the future, and we're trying to trigger the interest in both the IA and the pressurized shallow drain field, and that everybody that got messed, that had to pay the taxes and things like that, that if you did go back through, figure out, okay, you know, we left you short 13,000 from what you submitted, or 3,000, or whatever the number is. You send that number out, and that now becomes part of the, hey, the town is really serious about getting these IA systems in the ground. So I would think that would be, that's my thought, that would be the better thing. I think it could be very powerful in terms of getting people, oh, I understand now, you know. If you did a man in the street interview, everybody that got their money that they had to pay last time, because we were down, not people at 15,000, but the $6,000 one. You know, they seemed like they've been hit more.
well, they got the reduced grant and the higher cost.
Yeah. So, you know, it's okay, you submitted 9,000, we only gave you 6,000. If the system exists, that we could figure that sort of number out and say, great news. Now you have people saying, man, I'm now I might want to go after the septic system, you know.
So you're
system.
advocating going back and retroactively.
Somehow retroactively, yes. Now, I know, yes, I do know, when the county changed the taxing situation. They gave a benefit to people that were 3 years out from having their project. And I guess I was talking to somebody one of our first people, and they said, oh, no, you were before January 1 of that year, and so you're out. It's like,
Right.
it wasn't a happy surprise for her, I'll leave you that way. So that probably doesn't happen even in here. That it's the way we package it afterward.
I just have a question. You sort of made a comment that probably you wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, the town board wouldn't be able to do it, but technically, if it's a budgetary distribution, I mean, it's in the WCRI, it's there, you could, there's nothing not illegal, you could go back, right? I mean, it's just messy, but
I think so, yeah.
there's nothing legally wrong with going back, right?
I don't know.
It's part of the budget. I'm just trying to think of like budget.
I think that's a topic to think more about, but I think let's try to go forward and nail down, I mean, do you want to say if the average is 12, do you want to say 12? I mean, the price is probably,
So this is 10 plus the 2 for the pressurized drainage system.
well, no,
Or
we're
is this-
saying 5
Maybe.
for a pressurized drain.
All right, so we're back up to 15,000 with what is really beneficial.
So that would be
10,000.
possible of 15.
We're giving 5, they're giving 5, then they get the whole thing covered maybe.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, you could even say go to 12.
Well, that's where, for the base, I'm,
But that's my question. This base is just, that's not
just
including
base.
pressurized or
no,
wet.
the base will be like, where are we going from 6? Where are we gonna take that 6 number to?
Like an example, if a person has a property where you can't put a pressurized shallow drainage field, which does happen sometimes,
Yep.
Meg shows that a few times, that person would still get their 12.
I'm sorry.
Or whatever number we come up with.
No, I think that it seems that we would have to say for the pressurized shallow drainage, but if your lot is too small, I think that's uncomfortable. I don't know that we would.
We can't give you a $5,000 grant for one that you can't put in.
No, we're saying,
Right.
we're not saying, like, putting aside the PSD, just the regular grant, just for straight up IA septic, we could go from, instead of 10, we could even say 12 maybe.
Because 12 seems to be the number.
12 is the number, so why are we skipping at 10? I'm asking.
Because now I looked on the list here and it just says 6, 8, 10. I didn't,
No, but Amber just
so
mentioned.
now it's 12.
She said it's 12,785 was the out-of-pocket average.
Yes, since we started this. The more recent out-of-pocket, the last 2 years is like 16,000.
And with the economy the way it's going right now, we have to assume it's not gonna get drastically better in the next. What do you think?
Coming in.
It'll probably stay around what it is now.
But instead of going back to people you already paid out, maybe just consider adjusting those who've been granted 6,000, taking them up to the new level.
Yeah, that would be true, because we
You
had
mean the
15.
ones who have
every-
not come for payment yet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, only retroactive, only the people.
It would be easier, yeah.
Because
It would make me, if I was just gotten my 6, it would make me
Well,
very
yeah, that's where I'm
happy.
concerned. I mean, I felt bad for Mr. Kiley, I think his name was. He was just here last meeting. And we said no. And he, in my mind, he was justified in the charges that he was asking for. So, do we go back to him and say,
Well, we're saying that can be sort of a sticky thing. I mean, if you're looking for PR, it would be good. I mean, I wonder, maybe you'd say, not to cover everybody's costs, but to a blanket
oh, I didn't even.
3 or 4 or something, I don't know. I don't know what the amount would be.
I don't know. I can't think of what it is, what the structure is. It's not the numbers that confuse me, it's what it is.
Well, no, I mean, the average was, the average cost was like, out of pocket was 16,000 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what, I'm gonna change this, I'll leave it in blue. It will say 12,000, and this all has to go up to the town board for, I don't know, that's the last thing on my list, is that ultimately we have to go to you and saying, are you okay with these numbers? That sort of thing.
Okay, so let's say you went back to everybody who, after the 15,000 ended. If you went back and said, okay, we're gonna give you all another $6,000, how much would that cost?
No, it's not another 6,000, they've submitted, you need to pay me X number of dollars. If, it would be up to 6,000, I guess you're right.
Yeah,
Well,
because
I'm just saying, because some of them went, or way more out of pocket than that. I mean,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, if you were looking to stimulate interest and not have hard feelings and bad mouthing, that might be the way to do it. But I don't know, it's, there are many things that people want to do and like to do, but it might be cost prohibitive to do it.
Yeah.
So
it's the
my
same-
question would be, how much are we talking about it if we suggested doing that?
In your copious free time.
I have, like, I've been manipulating the data. First, a question, which Meg brought up. Somebody knew that they were only eligible to get 8,000, so they didn't submit all of their bills because they just needed
They just knew they didn't qualify
grant sand
for it
and
anyway.
gravel to get to their 6,000 or 8,000.
So you're aware of, obviously, people who did that?
So if we have somebody like,
But like the one you just looked at, I mean, she had an engineering invoice, she had,
Right.
there were other invoices, but it didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
because she didn't qualify for them anyway.
So now they're gonna,
So-
then they have the opportunity to resubmit all that,
That
and
would be the
that's.
question, that would be something that you'd wanna look into.
How do you mean look
So
into?
there's a couple things here. It's, do we want to make everybody happy and not have any hard feelings? How complicated and time consuming it is for staff, Coco, everybody, right? And then is it legal?
Right.
That's in my mind, those three
And
things.
you guys would have to re-review those applications, like they'd have to resubmit or confirm that what they did submit was complete. In some fashion, you'd have to go back and double check what was done. And then
Or-
review it and approve the difference.
Okay, or you say, listen, it's like a student applies for a grant at some campus, some university, and one year they're giving out 10,000, next year they're giving out 15,000. Well, the next, all the alumni are gonna be annoyed, but that's the way it goes. I mean, that's just the two perspectives.
Okay, I mean, and that may be, I mean, I think, I'm not saying that we should make a decision right now, I'm just trying to,
so you're thinking of upping it by how much?
12,000.
From
it's
6 to
12,000, as a base grant.
Okay, because I've got 8, including the one that you just approved tonight. So that would cost 48,000.
To give back to those 8 people.
48,000, you said, for all of the people in that category?
Right, so that we've paid out already the 6,000 grant, we have to review those applications and.
And they may
and
not all
being-
get another 6,000, it may
Right,
just.
they may
be
only
like
have
that.
reverse course.
700.
Oh, no, I got the.
It's,
Okay,
Yeah,
We
I
would give them
know.
up to 6,000.
Yeah, I have 2
How
people.
How about it just be for people who would qualify for the extra money based on income?
You don't get a lot of them.
that's,
You don't get a lot of
No,
those.
no, I mean for the retroactive. And so if nobody qualified for the extra based on income, maybe this is not that important to them.
I don't know, it would become more important to me if I were one of those people and I saw that the thing just went up, and then we were gonna give the people who were already approved for 6,000, 12,000. And if we were gonna do those two things, I think if I were one of those people who just got the 6,000, I wouldn't be so happy.
Right, same.
But
well, we don't have to decide it now.
I mean, I wasn't even thinking about this until.
Okay, or you could also just say, like Amber suggested, we just work on the people that are in queue, who haven't turned in their bills yet. They could still get the 12,000, I don't know.
But that would make those other people
No, I'm not saying I'm leaning that way, I'm just saying this is just factual, like.
Yeah, yeah.
the different avenues we can go here.
I think if we're gonna do anything like that retroactively, I think we need to go across the board.
Yeah, you know, I
Get good press, not bad matter.
you know, some people will be, some people are always not happy, but that would be a situation, whereas if I was sitting at that table, I'd say, this is rightfully like a wronging.
You said it came to like 48,000.
Right, if we went
I
back
mean,
to
in
those.
comparison to what's in there. I mean, all money matters, obviously,
Right,
but
yes.
I'm saying it's only
Yeah.
48,000. We're spending millions on other things, so, you know.
Right, no, I think, and again, it would be up to 48,000 because
not.
all those people may not have reimbursable expenses.
Yeah,
Some may have more, but then everybody's, sort of.
Could you
treated
say it
equally.
like if they want to reapply, they could, and like BJ was saying, maybe some, I mean, you said maybe some people are just, it doesn't matter to them, like they might not even bother.
You could do that.
yeah, you know, and it would only be in the time when their conditional approval said that their base grant was 600 or 6,000. And that breaks off, you know, the older
Right.
group.
Well, they should.
Because they got a much.
Anyway,
This actually brings the people today up to par with the people
let's think
originally.
more about that and let's move through this.
Okay, very good. We talked last time about the analysis, you know, the eligibility analysis of, you know, okay, how far are you away from a water bottle or from a water body? I guess I'm a little toisty.
You're not doing your tap water. That's great.
Anyway, we had talked about the
Criteria.
the criteria. And the situation that was basically, and it's not in this package yet. How we would do.
We would do away with it essentially.
Well, that's, yeah, we could, and the reason it's not here is that we didn't talk about it very much, and I don't know how, you know.
Can I just say, I thought about it, because I'm doing that next application, and I was wondering, like, can I dispense with and just discuss it?
I mean, I think that's a valid question. I think, except for the measuring component, which I think we should retain about how many kilograms
Okay,
reduction there is as a measurement just for our own purposes, which won't negate or help the applicant. I thought we were going to say that we were going to allow them, you know, just no, there'll be the desire to put one in
Yeah.
is the criteria.
which is really, and
That's sort of what we want to get them in.
yeah.
And it's fine that we changed it, because at the time we did it, we were under different restrictions, and things have changed, circumstances have changed.
So it's the location sensitivity where we had the triangle. I have to say that whether or not we want to try and push everything to around the center, or whether we just want to say, you know, you're on Shelter Island, you're in the location area, which is.
Well, the other thing you could do, it goes back to money again, incentivize the people in the triangle by some extra amount.
Yeah,
Maybe $3,000 more, you know, then it gets them to like 15 or something, you know, which is like back to the original one. To say, hey, those people in this area are eligible for an additional funding because we really want to get these systems in here.
so,
I mean, that would
We
be.
might just see an uptick because of just we're offering more money.
Right, I mean, we could wait and see. I think, you know, going back to the idea of the concierge thing,
yeah,
you know, a targeted area that you say, okay, we want to get this area really on board with these systems, you know, and you could also, as you pointed out, go to the homeowners associations and things like that. But in general, this triangle doesn't have a homeowners association
Right.
for the most part. And just to say, hey, you know, like if anybody in this area, you know, you can give the meets and bounds, you know, if you're interested in doing this, here's the new program, the new grant structure. And if you want to jump in with a bunch of people, you know, we would.
The town could do a mailing
I was
based
just
on
gonna say, you
addresses,
can
right?
do a mailing to a very certain area, you know, you
Even if
can
there's
get.
no homeowners.
I mean, but to say, okay, to really hand or spoon feed them, you know, this whole thing and get them through the process without doing anything. You know, and be beneficiary of a greater, you know, not this extra thing that I was just talking about, but, you know, the increased incentives monetarily.
Yeah, I don't think it's about like having to give them more money. I think it's just about getting it out to them.
Just getting over the inertia.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that can be part and parcel with, you know, let's see, you know, how the town board reacts to our recommendation of fee structure and then PR in the form of a press release or whatever, you know, and then maybe the targeted mailing to that group in the triangle saying, hey, you know, we're gonna, you know, a one-time and a one-time only thing, you know, you sign up now and, you know, we'll work through your applications for you and as well as give you the grant.
Yeah,
You know, and that's certainly worth a shot if you're trying to get this area moving along.
yeah.
You know, and it speaks to everything that we talked about at the school board meeting and everything yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concierge then would probably, you know, in the write-up here, would just identify that one exists, something like that, and how to
Like
contact.
the program, we'll call it the concierge program,
Yeah,
exists, you know, to enable you to more easily surmount this
give
problem.
longer time.
Then I think we need a
Maybe a
flow
few
chart
hours
for the
and that's-
concierge. Yeah, right.
If I can back up then, you know, what we had in there were like 4 or 5 things: location sensitivity, nitrate reduction, that's the kilograms per year, and then the type and/or condition of the existing system. I myself find some confusion in my brain about it's a box cesspit, and therefore.
I mean, the reality is they all do, even if the thing is caving in, it's still putting out the same amount of nitrogen. If you have a perfectly good system with an RO number or a caving in blocked pool, the same thing is
It
happening.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
whether you know, yes, it's dangerous that your grandkid will fall into the hole. That's dangerous. But I mean, sort of that system was getting a little abused, you know, calling things failing systems, you know, and I'm not saying we should stop it, you know, because it gets the health department more on a fast track. But the reality is it doesn't matter if you put your conventional system in yesterday or 50 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now, it's one of the criteria, right?
It is. So, I mean, that's a good reason to argue no, that shouldn't be there.
Take it out. Okay, I'm happy to see it come out. And the location sensitivity, either we could do it in hour, or, you know, we could do it at a WQI, which I
Internally, we can do
could
this.
be, you know, something that happens from the town board itself and saying, okay, these streets are now.
But I think we could initiate that and just say, we recommend incentivizing an area. You know, and if the concierge thing doesn't work, then you can try money. But
Okay.
So that could be something that we find out.
Okay, so we've got the approval of the base grant is based on the kilograms per year, that information, which is good.
Right.
And we said that the pressurized shallow drain field, we want to make that $5,000.
Right.
Is that right? And I've got to make sure that says merged. So that people have $5,000 for the PSD. If they have extra money after paying that, it gets bulked with the base. That, that was that change that I made earlier on. We just talked earlier about the grant eligibility. Financial support covers many, but not all. I mean, can I read this? Because
Can we back up one?
paragraph out, make sure I got it square.
I have one question. So we give $2,000 for a well relocation as well? Yeah.
Yes.
Is that adequate?
Doesn't cover the putting a new well in.
No, it doesn't.
You know, it's right. It can be anywhere from 5 to 8,000 to do
So we
that.
consider that as part of the increase of the base, or are you going to leave that as it is?
I mean, do you want to raise that up to?
I don't think
Her numbers included, I mean, if someone had it, like, I haven't,
Right.
you know.
There were a lot of messy,
The
projects
people who are
there.
applying for the grants are the ones with the messy projects because they know they're a project, right? And they know it's gonna be expensive. So a lot of the ones that you get are more complicated. They're either in really sensitive areas, so that's why they have a pressurized shallow drain field, because they're close to groundwater. Or it's complicated or a tight lot, so they have to move things to make it compliant. So that tends to be a lot of it. Or it's a really old property, so the well's in the basement, so the county requires that
Right.
it moved, that kind of thing.
So we're going to leave it as 2?
I think so, because it's built in, like, the extra cost has been built into the budget.
Okay.
Okay, so that stays, okay. And then, so C1, financial support covers many but not all the costs associated with the replacement of a current ineffective waste system with an IA. Covered expenses include equipment, labor, material, excavation, causally, I don't know where that word came from, related to the removal of the current sanitary system and installation of the IA unit. Only the expenses deemed to be appropriate and necessary for a replacement of the system on the specific property are covered. In determining whether the cost is appropriate and/or necessary, the WQIAB will consider the usual and customary cost of certain equipment, materials, and labor, as well as any characteristics of the property that may aid or hinder the replacement. No expenditure shall be reimbursed unless sanctioned by law and authorized by the town board. The homeowner must provide a full accounting of such costs for the project. I guess that kind of covers it reasonably well, I suppose.
That's where we're going to add grading and seeding.
Say it again.
That's where we're going to add grading.
In the list.
Right.
So this, we added it.
Okay.
You could probably make this a little simpler in the beginning, where it says, covered expenses include labor, equipment, labor, material. You can just probably leave it at it. Covered expenses include equipment, labor, and materials to install the IAOWTS and abandonment of existing system. Something like that, and you don't really need the excavation causally related to the removal of the current sanitary system, you can just call that abandonment. Because that's,
Okay,
because that also would include pump out, it would include, all of
Okay.
that. So if you just called it abandonment, it would include all the things related.
we don't have abandonment on here, do we?
That's part of the thing, though.
It's part of the installation, like it's required by the county and it, you
Okay, all
have to
right, so it's
certify
required,
this,
all right.
yeah, it's required.
Somehow that you were suggesting a change there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I don't know which sentence it's in.
it's in the second sentence,
Covered expenses?
yes, include equipment, labor, and materials to install the IAOWTS, and abandon existing sanitary system.
Okay. Okay, I'll send that paragraph to you. You can just tell me whether or not I read it right. That would be great. Then it gets to restrictions, and the reason that in section D, there was a concern that it wasn't clearly being stated what people could and could not do after getting the funding. And I'm not sure that this does it. I don't think there was this was a big list of tables, and it really, when I came back and looked, this is the one that when I looked at it, I says, what the hell, I didn't understand what it even was. So D1, the capacity limitation that, people can't put a bigger unit in, but they can, but we'll cover the base unit. And then the homeowner initiated mandated issues, which lists those topics. I don't remember exactly what section D3 was. I think that was that big chart that I was talking about, which wasn't very good.
And it says reserved.
Yeah, it's reserved. I took whatever was in there out, and I thought rather than redoing all the lettering and the tabling, I think the example 1, 2, and 3 were a table that was not particularly good. I guess I guess it would be just that people feel comfortable with the way this reads. It's I find that.
Are you saying D2?
Yeah, well, D, as a matter of fact, all of the, all of the D1s, all of the D section.
Limitations, what you.
Yeah. The headings in section D are the limitation for capacity, whether or not the homeowner, whether the revision, the update to the IA system is homeowner initiated, or if it's, why are they here? It's because they're making an addition and they're required, the town code. I didn't put specifically. Yeah. And then the time limit on future home improvements, which again lets people know that they have to wait 3 years from the payment. I think it says.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say for D4, the time limit on future home improvements, you need to specify exactly from what point in time. Is it from the date on the red stamp plan, or is it from the date that the grant money is issued to them, or is it the date of the green stamp plan?
It used to be the red stamp
It
plan.
was always the red stamp plan, but that's something that I think needs to be defined in here so people have a benchmark that they can,
Okay, so when the time that the limit is hit, 3-year time period, based on what?
When does it start? Right, when does the countdown clock start? Is it the red stamp like it's always been? Are you comfortable with that? Or would you change it to something else?
Well, I mean, if you got the grant and then you decide, I really want to expand the place, but I want the grant, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's from the time that the committee awards the grant, whatever the date that is. Maybe that's what it should be, because sometimes getting the red stamp plan, that either they're trying to speed it up or try to slow it down, either one, in the case of hard to say, but maybe leave it alone.
It's one of those things with the red stamp, like you can't do anything, you can't install a system
Right.
until you get the red stamp. So
Right.
that's kind of like, from that point, you can install, and that's kind of like that makes sense for the clock to start, I think.
Yep, okay, leave it at red stamp.
Okay. Is that what, leave it as red stamp, okay. So,
Just so you guys know, there is a community housing board meeting at 7:30.
All right,
So I'm just giving
we're gonna move
the
along.
15-minute warning.
what happened?
Community housing.
We have the room, that it's gonna be, hot dog.
Again, kicked out again.
Yeah.
All right, so a sentence in there that says something about the red stamp, okay, in terms where it's approved to be generated, which shortens, that shortens their time before they could do something is significantly impacted. If the difference between the red stamp and the green stamp is 6 months, that's 6 more months that they'd be waiting.
Usually it's more time than that.
I mean, it could be, I have some, it's 2.5 years before one
Okay.
person got the green stamp.
And what we're saying, the effort that they have done,
They're not done yet, so it's on.
the effort that they have finished is obviously a commitment to get the thing done. And it's not just somebody that says, I drew a picture and please, get me on the list. The section 5 is voiding of the conditional rebate, which, if they have done, if they wind up doing, that's where the red stamp, from the red stamp time as well, when it comes to start, end, as above. Okay.
I have another question. For example, number 1, underneath the chart. Rebate return to Shelter Island not necessary when owner installs a deck, garage, uninhabitable structure, and Suffolk County Department of Health determines not a change to existing design flow. The question I get all the time is, what about a swimming pool?
I think swimming pool is okay.
So let's add that to the list because
It's
I'm lost, wait.
the swimming pools.
Well, what projects are you allowed to do within the 3-year period?
I see.
Without
Right.
returning the grant? Things like, putting a new roof on, adding, redoing your kitchen. Anything that doesn't increase, your bedroom count essentially.
I think example number 2 is that. Expansion where owner installs or wishes to install additional space in a structure that the Suffolk County Department of Health Service
Right.
will increase the design flow. Such expansion is not allowed. The rebate must be returned to the town since the 3-year limitation is in effect, and that is from the red stamp.
So I would think a swimming pool is fine unless they're putting in a pool house besides that, which would include.
No, well, that would be, if they're putting in a pool house or they got a building permit, that all of a sudden, that would mandate, if they were putting with accommodations in the pool house, that would mandate, via the town code,
Okay.
a new system, which would then preclude them from getting the town grant.
Okay.
Okay, and then definitions, and that, there may be more, more things in here that are listed, but it does seem to me that having some definitions, if there's some specifics.
I think just so people, you're doing it so people can understand this.
Yeah.
They don't have to read the definitions, they don't want to.
Okay, and then the 2 that I would add, it would catastrophic emergency cesspool failure. And it says that it is eligible for RBA retake, that the replacement is not associated with the expansion of the house. So basically, if something, they don't have to say, oh my God, this has happened to me, and say, hey. And then the block cesspool status as characterized is considered failed by Suffolk County Department. That is correct, yes?
Yes.
I have that written, right?
Yes.
Failed cesspool systems are eligible for, just lets people, okay, now I know what's going on.
And the rationale for the county was that those systems are unsafe by nature. They have a tendency to collapse, more so than the precast systems. and they're all hitting the end of their lifespan. You know, if it's a brick or a block system, it's old enough that it should be replaced.
Okay, so we now have two more documents and 10 minutes. So what we'll do is I'll hold this up. The application form, there's a couple of things where have been removed that we came in from last time. And what we talked about, we'll take the private well water tests out of the list. I think that I typed this when it's, I don't remember, I think that we decided to make it optional. But I wasn't certain, so I left it just the way it is.
We did. What page is that on, Greg?
Pardon me? Oh, it's a step 5B, a private well. It used to say that the test must be conducted within 12 months. And it's an expense. It's going to happen at the end anyway.
Yeah, so we're just taking it out.
Yeah, and it,
No test.
it could, yeah, I need a water bottle. And well, all right, so it's out then. All we're asking is what type of well that you have.
Right.
I will make that happen. What we've discovered is a clear explanation, and I don't know whether it's here or in the earlier documents in the process. The requirement that COCO had run across was people were submitting the design already, right? A certified engineer has looked at this, done the survey, said, okay, here's where everything belongs. And then we also had a letter saying that you've gotten somebody. And
We
you
don't,
know what? If you get a submission that is that's the job of what a certified architect is supposed to do for us, that's probably good enough. So somehow to say, or.
Well, it's just the letter, that letter is not, it's not a costly thing. It's just, it's just a fact that there's an intent to use a particular design professional.
Yeah, but if go ahead.
site survey documents and everything are already there, there's no point in getting an intent letter.
Oh, no, if it's all
Right,
done.
right,
yeah,
right.
I mean, obviously then you've retained this guy.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, no, of course. I mean, I don't even know if you need to put that in there.
So there's
Is there?
there's gotta be a big or. There's gotta be a big or, and it says, or if you have already contracted them and they've already designed.
The design accomplished,
Yes, and
that would preclude the need for this letter.
Yep. And then we go on to the 5D, which, again, we do want to know what type of systems they have. I think that having that on record is good. And it also brings up the fact that if they've got a water softener and they're going to have a salt runoff, there's going to be some additional costs. And then removed the income incentive, the intrusive, they've done it twice, and it's, that money is still getting to them if they get passed, so. Plus you don't have to go in and say, I don't have as much money as we thought. The document checklist, the site survey document or okay, that was, it used to be the site survey document.
No, I think it's more engineer certificate retention letter. Or,
Or completed design.
right, or
Well, what we're saying,
design has already been completed.
Engineer retention letter or completed design.
yeah,
Right.
it's attached the survey document showing approximate area of IA system, the location of the IA on the survey can be hand-drawn on a copy of the current survey document. It is not necessary to have an official survey illustrating the system or at this stage. All right, so basically,
So what you wanna do is combine 5A and 5C into one.
Right.
So
Right.
for 5A, it can be either attach a hand-drawn survey with approximate IA location and letter from a New York State licensed design professional stating that they will do a design for you, or a complete design.
Yep.
And
So-
then that, yeah,
We got what's there plus 2 ors.
yep.
We're not at least we're not upstream here, huh? The water test report, if available, not mandatory, listing it in the list. The engineer certification retention, ors. And the water treatment systems list, which is what we're still asking, and the tax filing was strike on that. And then Coco's information. And there would as well, I see, you put it in the, okay, I see where it is. On the first page, that's where the instructions, and whether or not, do we have all of the, do we need to have that instruction sheet, here with it, or is this application form adequate? My thought would be is that there are probably some areas in that it would be nice to have some sort of an explanation. Then the last item is the request for payment form, and I think that we're probably finished now anyway, but
It seems pretty much
That's the one I asked about.
as it has been,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know? The blue thing here is just.
Do you think all of these are necessary? Because a lot of them don't get filled in, or do you think it's good to keep them in because it prompts people as to what?
Keep them in because they're bona fide expenses.
That's what I thought too.
And they should have them there, and, especially if there's more money available.
Right,
If there's less money, then they tend not to put them in.
I agree. It was a question that was.
And then, do we, what would the preference be, us pushing this up towards, up to the town board? Do you want to see it at this stage and make, and give the high fives now, or do you want to wait until we've done an additional review?
You should clean it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, do yours, so then it just comes to us, because
Okay, you'd like to see it complete? Okay, that's fine.
Makes sense. Being that we seem to have almost overstayed our welcome here.
Nice to see you.
it says on the next meeting, May 7th, but that's a Tuesday. So
It's probably a typo. It's
May
Thursday. It's May 4th.
Should be there.
Okay, just checking.
Is there any other business that needs to be brought up at the moment?
I cannot think of anything. I guess we could think about doing something in 2 weeks. No, maybe not 2 weeks, come to think of it. Should we try and push this forward in a?
Well, I mean,
You can just put comments on email. And
and then email back and forth.
Okay,
And then, we could have a meeting, another meeting if you want.
I guess maybe we'll get the feel of it if people are, if the 5 of us, because we haven't heard obviously from Tui, that we'll go and see where we think we're at. And if we think that we're there and ready, the next meeting as an item where we can say, okay, let's move it on up.
Well, great work. Thank you. Motion to adjourn, perhaps.
You know,
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Second.
Betty, and I'm right